I unlocked my door, exhausted after a 9-hour shift, and dropped my keys when I saw my entire family sitting in a perfect, terrifying semicircle in my living room. My mom was sobbing into a tissue. My dad, a man who clears his throat instead of showing emotion, stared at the floor with red, puffy eyes. Even my cousin Jake looked at me like I was a ghost. I froze. "What's going on?" I whispered. "Did somebody die?" The silence was suffocating. Finally, my dad stood up, his hands shaking, and handed me a stapled stack of papers. "We know, sweetheart," my mom choked out. "We know everything, and you are not going through this alone." I looked down. It was a printed log of my internet search history. My stomach completely bottomed out. The searches were highlighted in neon yellow marker. How to get affairs in order quickly. Average survival rate without immediate medical intervention. Will life insurance pay out if the body is never recovered? I stared at the pages, paralyzed. Uncle Dave stepped forward, placing a sympathetic hand on my shoulder. "We called the clinic in Mexico," Uncle Dave said gently. "We pooled our money and raised $45,000 for experimental treatments. You are not dying on our watch." My brain short-circuited. Dying? They thought I was dying. I looked at my sister, Sarah. "You quit your corporate job on Tuesday," she sniffled. "You sold your car, and yesterday, you gave me your vintage record collection. Why didn't you just tell us you were sick?" From the outside, the evidence was damning. I quit my job, liquidated my savings, and gave away my prized possessions. And my search history looked like the midnight panic of a terminal diagnosis. I took a deep breath, looking at the people who genuinely thought they were about to lose me. "Guys," I said, my voice shaking from holding back a massive, inappropriate laugh. "I'm not sick. I'm perfectly healthy." My dad frowned. "Denial is a natural stage of grief," he whispered, sounding like he'd memorized a pamphlet. "No, Dad, listen," I pleaded. "I signed an ironclad non-disclosure agreement. If I leaked the secret, I'd be sued for $2 million. The room fell dead silent. My mom stopped crying mid-sob. "What are you talking about?" she asked. "I was cast on that extreme wilderness survival show," I blurted out. "The one in the Canadian tundra with zero supplies. That's why I quit my job. I leave in 4 days. That's why I googled survival rates without medical help," I yelled. "I was terrified of bear attacks. And the life insurance thing? I was worried about falling into a ravine." Sarah stared, mouth hanging open. "But the records. Why did you give me your records?" "Because my lease ended yesterday." I threw my hands up. "They need a climate-controlled room. I asked you to babysit them for 3 months." You could hear a pin drop in that living room. The sheer, unfiltered terror suffocating my family slowly evaporated, replaced by a stunned, heavy disbelief. Uncle Dave slowly took his hand off my shoulder. He looked at my dad, and my dad looked at my mom. "So," my dad started, his voice flat. "You're not dying. You're just going to eat tree bark in the woods, on television." "Yes," I nodded aggressively. "Exactly." My mom let out a sound that was half sob, half laugh. She dropped her head. "I called Father Thomas," she whispered. "I put you on the global prayer chain. The whole congregation thinks you have 3 months to live." A tiny smirk crept onto Sarah's face. "Well," she muttered, "if a bear gets you, the records are mine." The room erupted. It wasn't polite sitcom laughter. It was the loud, breathless laughter of 12 people realizing their worst nightmare was actually just a stupid reality TV contract. And as Uncle Dave started demanding his Mexico Fund contribution back, I couldn't help but smile. At least I knew they'd bury themselves in debt just to keep me around.